Hey everybody. All right. Today we're going to talk about helicopter parents. So what is a helicopter parent? Well, a helicopter parent is a parent who has the best intentions, love their child, would do anything for their child, but they hover. So what do I mean by hover? I mean like you're never more than 3 feet away and you do all the talking for them. And I'm talking specifically around like 3 years old. So you talk for them, when they fall, you have to coddle them. And if they cry for an hour, you got to soothe them for that whole time, which is, self-soothing, self-regulating. So self-regulating is like they can control their emotions. But sometimes when you have a parent who hovers, they can't do that. And self-soothing is like they fall, they might suck their thumb, and that's how that calms themselves down. They might put a binky in their mouth. That's how, they can calm themselves down. Or maybe there's a stuffed animal they like. That's how they can calm themselves down. So anyway, so when you have a helicopter mom, she always intervenes. And so you really have to let your child figure it out. I know they're only 3 years old. I know, you love them to death and, you're afraid or you're nervous. You don't want them to get hurt. I get that. But at 3 years old is when you have to start making them independent. And if you're the type that you can't even leave your child for an hour with the in-laws because they cry, or the neighbor because they cry for the whole hour and they're hysterical, then what you have to do is retrain that child. Okay, so how do you retrain that child? Well, first of all, you could probably go to the Y. Clearly, I don't go to the Y, but you could go to the Y and you could drop your child off for like an hour in the babysitting room. And maybe your child can do that, and maybe your child can't. So you're going to figure it out pretty quick. So can they do that? And if they can't do the hour, leave them for half an hour. Go upstairs on the treadmill for 20 minutes and, see how they do. And then if they don't do well, try it again in 2 more days. Like make it, like every couple days. And keep trying it until they can do it. And then, maybe put them in soccer. They're going to have to do that by themselves. Or maybe, I don't know, an art class, maybe dance, swimming. I think you still have to go in the pool. So, I don't know about that one. But you have to, as a parent, model calm behavior. Because I always tell all my parents, calm mothers make calm kids. If you're nervous, they can sense that. And they're like, if she's nervous, I should be nervous. So you have to, it's that saying, you have to fake it until you make it. And there are some things that I'll tell you that I've done with my kids. Like my daughter went through chemo and I was like, this is going to be fine. You're going to come through this. And, I never looked like I was in a panic. But let me tell you, I was in a panic because went to the ER. She never knew about it. But behind the scenes, I was panicking. And she's fine now, so everything's great. But you have to back off and you have to let them make friends. And 3-year-olds, do they know how to take turns? Probably not. Do they know how to play well? Probably not. Some kids are hands-on-y, so they have to learn self-regulations. But this is something they have to navigate and learn for themselves. And I know it's hard to let go, but you have to do it little by little, or you're going to have to backtrack and retrain them on how to be independent and how to be confident and, most important, successful, right? So by giving children the chance to practice independence in a safe, supportive environment, we build confident kids, right, who are ready for school, friendships, and life. So you can definitely do it. You can definitely be successful. It might take a couple of weeks of crying and screaming, but eventually they're going to find that they can do it. And you're going to find that they can do it. So, part of it is something to do with you And then part of it is something to do with them. So just make a mental note like, okay, they're gonna be fine. Yeah, they're gonna get boo-boos. They're gonna get boo-boo knees. They're gonna hit their head. But you know what? They're fine. You're gonna be fine. So I hope you found this video very helpful. And if you did, please like, subscribe, and share. See you in my next video. Visit us at www.adventuresofscubajack.com. See you soon.